Welcome back, citizens, to today's Explainer. We are cracking open Episode 2 of a truly mind-blowing, highly stylized intelligence dossier compiled by independent cybersecurity analyst Alberto Daniel Hill. But look, this isn't your standard, dry, technical report. No, Hill has framed his analysis of Uruguay's catastrophic August 2026 digital collapse as a wildly sarcastic, campy, 1960s Batman-style comic book saga called the Cybermidnight Cave. It's just an incredibly effective, not to mention entertaining, way to understand the sheer absurdity of these systemic cybersecurity failures. So, get ready for some theatrical gasps and frantic pacing, because today we are unpacking Episode 2, The Grand Launch.
Okay, so to really grasp the sheer absurdity of this massive digital failure, we have to look through the dramatic lens Hill uses to frame the whole event. In the source material, Hill positions himself as the digital dissident, a sort of masked vigilante type, desperately trying to warn a bumbling state apparatus about this impending doom. The dossier treats the government authorities like incompetent cartoon villains who are just willfully ignoring the massive cyber threats looming in the shadows. Honestly, it's a brilliant narrative device to highlight the real-world disconnect between political optics and actual functional cybersecurity hygiene.
KABOOM. The dossier brilliantly sets the scene by contrasting two wildly different realities on the morning of August 13, 2026. On one side, we have the official government reality. A massive, pompous party in Plaza Independencia. We're talking blue balloons, a literal military band playing, and the president at the podium confidently declaring the new national digital wallet, the Billetera Digital, to be entirely inviolable and sovereign. The crowds cheer, completely unaware they are standing on a giant digital trapdoor. But in stark contrast, cut to Hill's reality. He's sitting in what he calls the Cybermidnight Cave, drinking cold mate, broadcasting to 12,000 listeners and monitoring underground hacker audio rooms. He's not watching the fireworks. He's watching the system crumble.
Dun, dun, dun. Now, what's really terrifying is exactly what Hill was hearing in those underground channels. The dossier claims a hacker supergroup known as LaPampaChronus was already celebrating. Why? Because the bumbling state had left massive digital backdoors wide open. The hackers already had their hands on 184,000 corporate records from a breached business directory. Even worse, the government had completely failed to revoke the API keys, essentially the digital master passwords, from a previous breach of the TuID identity system, all the way back in May. The hackers literally announced in their chat, "In 3 hours, the show begins."
Zap. That is the sound of the technical truth hitting the fan. See, the hackers didn't need any highly advanced multi-million-dollar zero-day exploits. They just walked right through the open doors that independent analysts had been warning the state about for months. Those digital master passwords? Still active. Biometric flags, the code that actually verifies the fingerprint or a face scan matches the user, were being inverted with insulting ease right there in the back-end databases. The state was literally throwing a party while their foundational digital architecture was actively bleeding data to offshore servers. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The tension in the dossier builds like a literal time bomb. At exactly 11:47 a.m., the National Digital Wallet officially goes live on the app stores. And for exactly 38 minutes, total peace. Everything works. The app downloads perfectly, the verifications seem to hold up, and state media immediately starts rushing to publish these premature total success headlines. The country genuinely thinks it has leapt into the digital future. But Hill, who is just watching the data logs in his cave, simply tweets, "Enjoy the show. The real launch begins shortly." Crack. At exactly 12:25 p.m., the entire system shatters like cheap glass. Absolute chaos. The dossier lists the hilariously disastrous, yet utterly terrifying digital chaos that ordinary citizens began experiencing. We are talking about digital wallets suddenly displaying life savings in Venezuelan boliviars. A businessman in Punta del Este gets a notification that he just digitally signed a legally binding contract to purchase 500 dairy cows using his own forged signature. Gasp! Internal support tickets were suddenly resurrecting and transferring funds to the Cayman Islands. It was absolute, unmitigated chaos.
Pow! So how does the government's crisis room respond to this absolute disaster? Do they shut the compromised wallet down? According to Hill's dossier, absolutely not. Instead, they activate what he sarcastically dubs Protocol of Silence Level 3. The state allegedly ordered all officials to censor the media narrative, rushing out to a press conference to blatantly claim that there was no security breach whatsoever. They literally blamed the wildly incorrect wallet balances on a simple visual bug caused by high demand, insisting everyone's money was perfectly safe. Biff! This perfectly captures the dark, dramatic irony at the core of this whole mess. While the government was busy denying reality just to protect its political optics, Hill wasn't having it. He was broadcasting live, proving the security flaws in real time. And then he drops the ultimate truth bomb, a live, encrypted voice note sent directly to him from the LaPampaChronus hackers that very afternoon. They literally mocked the state's response, saying, "Thanks for the map, Alberto. The protocol of silence is our best ally." The state's total refusal to be transparent was exactly what the hackers needed to operate undetected.
KABOOM! As night falls on August 13th, the official App Store still hilariously shows the digital wallet sitting at a sparkling 4.5-star rating. But Hill delivers a chilling cliffhanger to close out his analysis of launch day. The hackers weren't just there to steal a few symbolic pesos or mess around with dairy cow contracts. No, that was just a distraction. Because they had full access to the identity APIs, they were quietly and systematically altering the civil registry. They were literally erasing national histories and identities. The door was left wide open, and the hackers had just made themselves at home on the couch.
Which brings us to the ultimate cliffhanger of Hill's entire dossier, and the question I want to leave you with today. If a government's instinct to protect its reputation, its so-called protocol of silence, is actually the greatest vulnerability a nation has, well, can true digital sovereignty ever exist without radical transparency? It's a terrifying look at how policy, optics, and technical reality violently collide. That's all for today's explainer of the Cyber Midnight Club dossier. It definitely leaves us eager to see what horrors await in Episode 3. Kabow! Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.